Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Through the Pages. Today I am bringing you a book that came out only 1 month ago, The Gut-Immune Connection by Emeran. So I recently, I wouldn't say too recently actually, read and reviewed The Mind-Gut Connection, his first book. This one, he started writing right alongside it. So I think some people could be like, oh, this is in response to COVID. Like, this was generated pre-COVID, but now extra poignant. And so he is a voice in gut health that I really look to because he is not only a gastroenterologist and actually does the science on it, but he has a very good way of communicating it too. So there's some gut health books, specifically like the Probiotic Cure, reviewed that pretty recently. Marty Whittekin, I think that was it, and it was very bullet pointy, and there was a lot of information there, but it just didn't flow, and it's hard for me to just take fact. Where it was dense with information, but it flowed, and you're able to enjoy the read, and it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm sitting down to study, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I definitely read these books to learn, and I know that's not going to be easy breezy like a novel, but he balances it very well. And I liked that kind of in the beginning, like most health books, I'll say, there's a first chapter or two that's just kind of want to make sure we're all on the same page here. And he does a very good job of getting that through and then kind of getting right into the meat of it, which is the extraordinary connection between the microbes that make up our gut microbiome and the connection that has very directly to our immune system. And that 70% of our immune cells are located in our gut. Most of our serotonin produced there. The gut's just a powerhouse. And every time I learn more about it, I'm just so stoked to be in this field in a way. 309 Culture is my little line of fermented foods. Every time I read a book like this, I'm just so much happier that I've already got the groundwork. Because when I read this, and I'm just how do I do something for guts? It's the most fascinating thing, and it affects everyone. Doesn't have to just be vegan. This is for everyone. And so he really kind of discusses what he calls a one health, which I really like that view, that there is so much there's so many systems of our body to focus on, that to target just one is a little bit reductive, and that if you think of it as one composition, one health, be that your gut health, your physical health, your emotional health, a lot of these practices and habits end up contributing to that one health. And so when we start to eat for our microbes and consider that we aren't one being eating to please one being, we are curating the nutrients for a rainforest of beings, that by feeding them, we end up feeding ourselves the right things as well. Kind of a more balanced, more plant-based, more diverse plant diet. And I think it's a great way to kind of roll that point home. I don't think, try as we might, vegans are going to get a lot of people to flip the switch off of the ideals that come with veganism. And it's not to say that he is preaching veganism. There are some gut health books that really do say there's no point in animal products. They don't feed the microbiome at all. Our gut can't do anything with it. It's foreign to us. There's a lot of different reasons. He sidesteps it a bit, or leans into the Mediterranean diet, which I think is a great way to go. If we can get everyone there, from there, decide what you want to do. You want to go full plant-based? Do it. You want to get into raw foods? Neat. You want to stick with just Mediterranean diet? Awesome. But getting away from this heavily processed factory farm lifestyle. And so I think his encouragement of the one health hits the broadest stroke possible that could still be effective. And I think it's a really good like point where he's landed on there, and that I feel like it's not something people read like, oh, that would be good. It's set down like, I think that will stick. And I know if you're picking up this gut health book, you're probably already into it in some ways, but I feel like because of the timing with everything, there's a lot more people open to things. It's not to say that this is like a eat sauerkraut and you'll be prevented from COVID. Like it's not putting those two together by any means, but like it is fascinating to just get a better understanding of our immune system. You know, it's kind of an amorphous thing. It's not an organ. It's not so neat and tidy like that. And so to see not only a better understanding of it, but how it's affected, I think makes keeping ourselves healthy feel less confusing in a way, where I feel like imagine Googling like, how do I get healthy? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's so much information on every single side of every single argument that like if someone was just kind of coming into a blank slate, it's hard. And I feel like this book connects with a lot of demographics. We all have these microbes in us. No one is away from that. If you are, that's you're living in a bubble then. You're a baby that's not born yet. But I really enjoyed his last book, The Mind-Gut Connection. A lot of it went to discussions of the vagus nerve and how the mind is directly connected to the gut, and how they're sending information back and forth nonstop. And it fulfilled a lot of the kind of like hopes I have, I guess, like that you're not so locked into things. Like there are some aspects, you know, by the time you're 3 months or 3 years old, a lot of it is set, a lot of things come from your parents, but there are aspects that are transient, and that it's not like your mental health is a set of cards you were dealt and that's it. You know, things shift and here, and that was a very insightful book, but also didn't say, you know, like, if you start eating sauerkraut, you'll cure your depression. Like, change your microbes, it's done. Like, there's some things that are set. And so, like, to understand kind of, like, what's malleable in our gut and our health was very intriguing, and to have it from such a trusted source made the whole thing worthwhile, you know? And so this, I feel like, in the next year or so, there might be a lot of immune system books written that might feel a bit opportunistic. This really felt like a continuation of a discussion I was enthralled in from, I guess it was 2018 is when that book came out. I read it afterwards, but I don't know that this is like the #1 gut health book I'd recommend because it is so specific, but it's in the tops. Like both of his books now are phenomenal books in the gut health library of the world. He's a great person to follow on social media too. Lots of good tidbits going up on there. But yeah, this book is just packed with very practical information and science that is deep, but there's foreground laid in everything to get to where you're at. So it's not like he's going to just start discussing like symptoms and organs and stuff that like not mentioned at all, don't know like where we're at here. It's kind of like how you take a math class in sophomore year or your junior year, you're supposed to kind of build on that stuff. Like, he does a very good job of building upon what you've already been given. And I definitely learned a lot from this book. I took more notes on this book. Like, if I get to a second page of notes, that's usually a very good sign. And so there's a ton of good stuff in that book. It's one I'd probably read as like an audiobook later, or like listen to later, just to kind of like keep peppering in that information. But yeah, highly recommend this book right here. It's nice to read books that are so current too, not only because of like this and wanting to connect with things that are kind of happening in the world, but this is probably, and I might have said this already, like probably the closest I've read a book of this nature from like publication date to me reading it. And so to have things like, even the past administration and COVID referred to and understood. It was just nice. It's nice to read science that's so contemporary, you know? So there's sometimes where I find gut health books that are like classics, and as you're reading it, you just know like things are further. And that's not to say that it's pointless, but it's like watching your favorite like politics show from like a couple weeks ago if you missed it. Like sometimes like I would just watch the current one, and that would supersede it. So this is a great place to go if you're just wanting to get into gut health books, because it's the most current one on the scene. But yeah, Emeran Mayer, awesome writer, brilliant man, and happy to have another one from him. Hope there's a third. So we'll see. If there is, I'll be reviewing it.